Hey YouTube, this is the first speed build that I'm posting and I am incredibly nervous. I've been wanting to make my own videos for the longest time because I do watch a lot of speed builds and I think it's just a great creative outlet to share stuff in the community. And I am also a person who is just obsessed with The Sims. I turn every conversation I can into something about The Sims, and I simply cannot shut up about it. So I decided to just go ahead and record my builds and do a voiceover because this way I can talk about it to my heart's content to anyone who will listen. So, anyway, today I'm building here a little cottage in Brindleton Bay, which is the name of the town that came with the Cats and Dogs expansion pack. And I'm building here because I really like how it's a sort of tucked away area in this town just away from everyone. Like you can't see any lots nearby. And this is my dream, to live somewhere where I don't have any neighbors within a 5 kilometer radius. Anyway, the build that I'm doing today is pretty small, as you can see. We're almost done with like the exterior shell, and I kept it on a single floor because I imagined two elderly Sims living here with their adopted child and a dog. And I didn't want my elderly Sims to be walking up and down the stairs, and I thought I'd give them that luxury of not having to walk up and down the stairs. Anyway, I put down this new terrain paint that we got with the Cottage living pack, and I think it just really immediately brightens up the build a little bit with a cutesy vibe because it's a bunch of stones on a bed of flowers. And by the way, we also did get flooring that matches this terrain, but the terrain paint only comes in this one color, whereas the flooring comes in a variety of colors, which I don't mind terribly, but I wish the Sims team gave us the same options they did with the flooring just so we can change it up a bit with each build. Anyway, here we are just starting to do some landscaping. I pulled out a lot of flowers and bushes from the debug menu, mainly from Cottage Living, and I actually ended up cutting out a lot from the clip because it was just me scrolling up and down because I didn't have the better build and buy mod installed, so it was kind of very repetitive and a little boring to look at. So the clip you see me doing here is just me finishing up the landscaping with a little with like low-laying bushes combined with like a little dirt terrain paint, which I think really makes the landscape blend into the ground a little bit better, and also it looks more natural. And I'm changing up the window colors here so it's a bit darker, and I think I move on to the floor plan next. I kept the floor plan of this house pretty minimal, and it was very closed off so that each section of the house has like 4 walls, so it's like its own separate space. And a lot of the older houses I looked at were like this, so I did it. I think I pulled it off, but in the end, we end up having 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and a shared kitchen and dining space. And the build comes to a total of 46,127 simoleons, which is a bit pricey given that when you start with just 3 Sims, you're only given 24,000 simoleons. But like I said, the Sims I envisioned living here are elderly, so maybe they do have some savings. And it's definitely achievable to have that much in The Sims because it's so easy to get rich in The Sims. So anyway, here in the kitchen, I tried to make this layout work so that the little triangular, like the trapezium shaped bump out could be a nook for the dining table. So it ended up as this kind of awkward galley kitchen. But I think it is sort of fitting in a way because a lot of the kitchens in the older houses are shaped pretty weirdly. And I use a lot of kitchen items from the Country Kitchen kit. I think it created this cozy lived-in vibe. The green shelving by the sink you see there is actually a cabinet piece from that kit as well, and I like to use it when I don't have enough counter space next to the sink to put a dish rack. Yeah, so here we are decorating the dining nook. Like I mentioned earlier, I keep it pretty simple. And I carry on the green colour scheme I have from the windows. I also put out the grocery bags from the debug menu to clutter up the space. I think it just added to the realism. In the living area, I struggled with the color scheme a little bit, but as soon as I put down, yeah, this wallpaper with the muted dark red paneling, I thought it looked quite warm and cozy, so I just ran with it. And the love seats I'm using are from the cats and dogs pack, and I think they do also have a red swatch, but I went with this mauvey color instead because I didn't want to overwhelm the space with just red everywhere, especially because the wallpaper is green, so that would just scream Christmas. And I like the holiday, but not all year round, and it can look a little bit tacky. So yeah, it's just cluttering up the space a little bit. Oh, and my favorite part of this living room is this bay window area. I think like the natural light makes the space look so welcoming and just a tinsy bit bigger because it sort of extends the view so you're not just enclosed and surrounded by walls. So I didn't include a chimney in this build, but that bay window area I think kind of makes up for it. And I cluttered up the space a lot. And here I just put that doggy treat in the bay window area. And I think I do include a rocking chair for your Sims to just knit at or read or listen to music and or even cross stitch. By the way, did you know? I think the Sims knitting skills transfer into cross stitching. So if you're high up in the knitting skill, your Sims will find it easier to take up cross stitching. And I really like that the Sims team incorporated that gameplay from the stuff pack into an expansion pack gameplay because it just makes the game just more cohesive. And sometimes we don't really have that in games. So anyway, we're in the small master bedroom space here, and I kept it pretty simple because I didn't really think too deeply about the type of Sims that were living here, except since this was a sort of secluded, like tucked away area in town, I imagined that they worked from home in some sort of freelance career. So I made that desk area look very lived in with lots of paperwork and files and notebooks. And of course, I had to incorporate that weird typewriter computer hybrid thing we got in cottage living. It is so absurd, and I want it in real life. So yeah, just cluttering up the space like I mentioned. Oh, and that suitcase with books piled on top of it came with a cats and dogs pack is actually also functionable. Functionable? It actually also functions as a bookcase if you didn't know. So yeah, there we go. And I think I move on to the entryway next, which is actually pretty simple in terms of functionality. Like the only item with interactive gameplay in there is probably the doggy bowl. And it was a very long area to fill up, so I put in a dresser from the get together pack because I don't know, it's just more storage. And there I'm cluttering up the side table beneath the window, some blankets, and oh yeah, I included the garden gnome even though I know they're an outdoor decoration because I really like the yellow flower crown hat thing, that thing that they have on, the sunflowers. I think yellow in general just gives off a sunny, welcoming vibe, especially if it's a flower. And I'm moving on into kids' bedroom now. I ended up going with this minty colour scheme in the end, and I think that this mint colour, especially in game, gives off a very refreshing, airy feel, which I really enjoy in kids' bedrooms and kitchens too, although I really didn't do it in this kitchen. But I'm using the desk and drawer from the Parenthood because they're not too chunky and I think they accommodate the space quite nicely so I can just fit everything in. Some of the furniture in The Sims is very chunky. Oh, and I also include an easel here, which I do in almost every build because I just really like to see my Sims paint, and it makes for really good decoration around the house when they're, especially when they're higher up in their painting skills. Like when I'm building for my Sims that I'm playing with, I always keep a few paintings to decorate with around the house because it feels a lot more personalized. And it's the same with photos. I take a lot of photos and frame them around the house. And yeah. Oh, here I'm just finishing up cluttering up the wall space. And I include a little octopus plushie there. And moving on into the bathroom space now. I kept it pretty simple. It's just a bathtub, and I'm using the sinking cabinets from the Country Kitchen kit. I clutter up with some really basic items like hand wash and toothbrush, and um, I think I did include a basket full of laundry or towels or whatever is in there. And yeah, I don't really do much. I never really do much for the bathrooms because it's kind of uninteresting. And one of the needs I always forget with my Sims is their bladder need. So they either end up like wetting themselves or just like waddling to the bathroom. So the bathroom doesn't really get that much use out of it when I do gameplay. And here is my favorite part of this build. I created this like little porch area that your Sims can sit at and have a barbecue or just a little like at-home picnic, which I think is adorable. I also put up these fairy lights from the toddler stuff pack, which I think created this really lovely atmosphere that looks so gorgeous at dusk or even nighttime. And the side yard area, I kept the outdoor activities to a minimum, and I just have the chicken coop and a few gardening patches. Oh, I also include the rabbit home outside right there, which is actually probably the only reason I got the cottage living kit anyway, because oh my god, the bunnies are just so adorable. The animations, they did an amazing job. And I think it's actually hilarious when the bunnies just shake their heads in disapproval when you try to like impress them with stuff. Anyway, just finishing off the area here with a bit of stuff I pulled up from the debug menu, like that compost and a few more landscaping items. And I think we should be heading into screenshots. Bye!